Good morning and welcome back to Plannercraft. I'm Natalie and today we're going to be finishing off the project from yesterday. So yesterday we created a Foil Resist watercolour for both our background element and also for our foreground element. So firstly, hi Deb. If somebody could share this to the group as well, that'd be absolutely fabulous. Just can't do it from here. So I'll wait for a few more people to join so I don't rush off ahead. So I have done a little bit of prep today. I've been doing some die cutting this morning, which is interesting as it's very, very, very warm. So melting a bit here. I've used some dies from Spellbinders and also some from Creative Expression. So I've used the wildflower dies, a geometric die, I've gone for a border die and also a panel. So we've had a good mix. Hi Carol! Yes, you'll have to catch up on yesterday's. I was using the white foil, so it's a good technique for you, what you received at the weekend. And I did it onto some watercolour cards, so it's a good one to go back to. And thank you, Deb. Okay, so I'm going to move my dies out of the way, just for now. And I'm going to bring in some card blanks. So I've pulled out a few different ones, and I thought it was a good place to start by talking about layout. So first of all, I have a little 7x5, I think. Yep, 7x5. So in which case we'd have to crop into our background a little bit. Now I don't mind taking off the edges, but I don't really want to lose too much of this nice faded panel up here because that's going to tie into our die cuts. Then we have our A5. So this is literally the same size as our background. So that will completely cover it. So if you're happy with your background, you could go to A5. I then have a 7-inch square. So again, we would lose a bit of detail off the top, but we'd also be left with this border panel down here, so we could highlight that, possibly use another of our little border die cuts to go down the side. So it's really good at this stage to be kind of playing still with our card size rather than having it set in our heads what we're going for. And we could even go to a DL card. So you can see that our height would be the same, but we'd end up cropping down this line here, which means that we'd actually be cropping into some of that foiled background. So again, I don't really want to do that because I've pulled this colour out from our paler section here. So having played with all those now, I'm thinking I might change up what I'm doing a bit. And let's go for this one. I'm thinking it would be nice to go and put that die cut under there so that we have a reason for that background cutting off. Now, my geometrics, I've actually cut one from some glitter card and two from some white card. So the white card is just from my scrapbooks, so it's useful to always keep your scraps. And I haven't stuck them together yet because I haven't decided for certain whether that glitter card is going to be going on or not. So I thought it would be good to kind of show you the difference with it and without it. And for my wildflowers, I've cut one from Honeydew, which is like a pale green, so you can see that it's pulled through from this colour here, and one from a pink. So what I've done is I've matched my card to my watercolour panel. So I've gone for tones that are in that rather than trying to generally match it. And hello Mum. Hi Linda, if I haven't already said hi. So we've got a bit of peach, a bit of pink, and then we've got misty rose, which is kind of a bit of colour shifting. So that means that as the card moves, it's going to pull out different colours in our flower. So I wanted to show you first how I'm going to actually use these. Now obviously, usually when you see a flower, it has a green bit and a coloured bit. So I'm going to start off with my green bit down on my desk. And if you want to do an additional cut in white just to reinforce that, you can do. But to be honest, it's going to be going flat on my card, so I'm not too worried about it. And then I'm going to take my pink section and I'm going to actually cut out individual bits of detail that we can pop onto our green. So this means that we'll be picking out little bits of detail to create a nice coloured image. So I'm going to be using some detailed scissors for this, because obviously we're going to be snipping into some quite detailed little bits of section. And let's go in here, and I want to pull a little bit of green through here. So I'm going to follow that little bit of embossed detail. So just here you can see there's an embossed detail that comes back around. So I'm just following that and then taking that back to that cut line there. And we're going to do the same all the way around this section here. Like so. So I won't necessarily do all of these on stream, but certainly enough so that you get an idea of how it's all going to go together. You can tell it's getting warm now. Come on. Let's go for another one. Oh, that's going to go runny on me. Hey ho. It'll do for now. So I'm going to pop that onto my base piece and move on to the next bit. It's a good idea to piece as you go along, especially with something like this where you've got quite irregular shapes, so that you know you're putting them in the right places. So I'm going to go again for just that little flower section. Don't drop it on the floor. Okay. Get it around the right way. And I'm just going to pop that one there. Okay, next bit. So I'll try and do this one in detail so that you can see it in its fullest, and then the other bits I can do after. So you might not do this to every single bit of the flower. It is all down to personal preference. You might just want to pick out particular areas. And let's just pop that on there. So you just want to make sure when you're doing this is that you're keeping everything in line. Nothing worse than having a little bit of that green showing around your flower, because it kind of ruins the illusion then. Okay. So I bring in my background, pop that on there. Okay, next one. I'm thinking I want to build kind of a flourish down to this bottom left hand corner. And again, I'm not going to worry about if it overhangs this bottom edge, because we can trim that after. I'm just going to fan that out so that I can get roughly in my head where we're heading. Likewise with our next one, because I cut two of this same smaller one, we can even extend that up here. We could take that out to the side if we want to. So bear in mind that this is going to change depending on which card size you decide to go for. I think I'm probably going to take this out this way. And I'm looking for something that I can tuck it underneath there, just so you get a nice neat finish. And then our flower is going to go roughly there. Then I'm thinking our panel can come in kind of round there. So I've done a sentiment that I want to cut on the ScanNCut too, but it all depends on the next bit. So I want to pop in my little geometric shape, and to start with I'm just going to stick together my two white layers. There we go. And again, it's one of those ones where you want to get it spot on, so that if we do add our glitter, we don't end up with a little white halo around it. Now I've done that just on the solid areas of the die cut, but if you want to, you can actually use some double-sided just on the reverse of your scrap card before cutting these out, so it's a little bit easier to build up some strength in these sections here. Thank you, Tracy. So with my geometric, because our green is starting to fade into the background a bit, I'm actually thinking I can tuck that behind and just lift that up. So let's move this out of the way. I also wanted to take it off one edge, so it's not going to just be a triangle. So let's try it with the glitter first. So again, I'm not sticking it, I'm just literally placing it, and I just want to check to see whether that is going to help push that image forward or whether it's making it more lost. So that's it with the glitter, and now that's it without. So I think with the glitter is actually causing it to kind of mush into that background a little bit, whereas that white's helping to lift it. So I'm going to stick with that, and we can always use that glitter piece for something else in that same design or for another project. I'm just going to set that to one side for a moment. So my next thought was I don't want to cover up too much of our lovely resist work that we've done on background. So I'm actually going to let my background dictate where this piece is going to go. And I think it can do a really nice job of kind of mimicking this line here. So I'm going to let that go that way. Now obviously if we stick it at this point, just using those same two dots, it's only going to be kind of floating in midair, and we're going to have little loose bits at this end. So we're going to want to actually kind of stick it down, try and do a little bit of glue on this join here and on this join here, then trim, and then we can actually pop a little bit of glue just underneath. Okay, so let's do that. So glue on 2 of the ends, and then we're going to go for, let's think, which way up do we want this to go? So glue on that bottom bit there. I'm going to position it so that we're mimicking that stem there. Even if that means that the bottom is very slightly off, I don't mind. I'm just going to hold it there for a moment. And if it needs a little bit extra help, just because it's watercolour card and it has curled slightly, just use a stamp block just on top, just to hold that down while it sets for a moment. And thank you, Tracy. So once that's starting to set a little, I'm just going to flick that over. And very gently just trim this away. Now bear in mind you're going through 2 pieces of card, so just with a knife, go nice and lightly. You are better and more likely to be accurate if you just use a light amount of pressure and multiple strokes than trying to go through it all in one go. Now if it pulls like that, just lift it up, let it settle back down. Like do it again. Now just because it's pulling a bit too much, I'm just going to take that back bit off. Out of the way. Now also because it's glued on that corner, just basically fold it back, lift up, and just recut that section. There we go. So like I said, now that we've done that, you just want to pop a little bit of glue just in that join there. So you can do this with a little bit of PVA if it doesn't get mad and blob everywhere. You could do this with the Tombow Mono. And you just really want just enough to just tack the end. So then we can press those down. I'm just going to guide that one back so it's over that edge. If you need to retrim once these are set, you can do. Okay. So let's grab our first wildflower, and I'm going to take that up towards the top. So about there. So again, I'm making sure that I can still see some of my resist through. We can see that bit's kind of mimicking our triangle here as well. And if you want to, you can always use a thin pop top just to pop that up. but for speed today I'm just going to be using a bit of wet glue, just because it is so warm that things like glue dots will not like me today. So a bit more under each flower. And it's been very noisy today, so I do apologise. Oh, competition. Yes, good point, Carol. So obviously we still have the box competition to judge, but I'll get into sitting on that one later. Just get a bit of glue off there. That should be just there. So I'm just going to let that sit for a minute. So, new competition. I want to see something summery, and I'm going to challenge you all to using vinyl. Now, I don't mind if you put that vinyl onto the front of a card, if you use some HDV and put it onto fabric, if you use adhesive vinyl and go onto glass. It could be a window, if you want to do an arrangement for your window. There we go. So our next piece in our resist goes up this way. So I'm thinking if I take this slightly over, let's go there. Before I do, let's just bring that card blank back in, because I am thinking we need to chop a little bit off, and I think I'm going to take a little bit off the bottom and a little bit off the top. Let's go for it. That way it will hold our card a bit flatter then too. So double-sided. Vinyl. Yeah, lovely vinyl. So I've got a bit of a vinyl challenge myself to do. So I need to finish off the project that Anne and I started the other week, and I have some new vinyl to test. So it makes sense to do the challenges vinyl this time round. If you haven't used vinyl before, there are some summer inspired vinyl videos that we did in lockdown last year, so you can always revisit one of those. Now hopefully by sticking the double-sided like this, it's going to go right up to the edge, so it should do a good job of holding everything down. But when we do our wiggle room, I'm going to do my glue slightly inside so it doesn't risk going over the edge. So I'm taking about 1/4 inch off top and bottom roughly. So if this was flush, I'd be doing opposite corners, pulling back the double-sided and then doing the peel technique around the edges, but as we're trimming, it's just easy to just go for it. Okay. So let's grab my card blank. Folded edge to the left hand side, that's important. And I'm going to just put a little bit of wiggle room on that first edge. Everything else I don't mind if it sticks straight away, but that folded edge there, I just want to get right on the... there we go. So you can see already that's starting to hold everything just that little bit flatter. And I might just pop a little bit of glue under there just to pull that section there back a bit. Okay, so for starters, the double-sided tape isn't one that goes up to the edge, it's an easy lift one. So if I pull it back, you can see there's like a gap between where the paper is and where the double-sided is, hopefully. Let's see if I can get that a bit more in focus. There we go. So you can just see. Then I'm going to get my knife and carefully cut along. Let's put that down there so it's gone very slightly on the just on that one little bit, so I'm just going to go back in very gently. And just trim that up. I can hear a trouble on the move. Can you hear a trouble on the move? It's trying to be oh so quiet. Okay. Gently trim that one up too. There we go. That's that one done. So we have one bit that comes down here too, so I'm thinking if we tuck that bit under there, that one could go there. And that one could go up like that. So I'm just going to stick a little bit of glue under each of the larger areas. So again, I will come back and just pop in those little pink sections off screen, but nobody wants to sit and watch me cut out for ages. And I'm going to go tuck that under there and up there. So that's going to come in here, and we've got our little panel, so I'm just going to temporarily stick that together, and let's see how that's going to look when we pop that underneath. So what I was thinking was our sentiment could actually start to come out from this panel, so I'm thinking it'd be higher up, so about there. Offset it slightly. There we go. Right there looks right. So then we will have our letters come out from here, and then we have a smaller strip sentiment to go underneath and also above. Okay. I'm going to glue both of these And the idea being that I'm going to try and do these both at once so that I can rejig my layout if need be. So down underneath and up a little. There we go. So now we're going to grab that block again and just press it down for a moment. You can still upload them, Linda. We haven't made a decision yet. I'll let you sneak in. Likewise, if anybody else has done a box and just hasn't remembered to upload it, you can add it if you're quick in. I will have a look later, and then I can announce it tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to be doing a computer stream, mainly because it's so warm that, you know, you get to the point where the glue doesn't really want to set up here. So we're not doing too bad for time. I'm going to grab my border next. Oh, I do wish my back would stop twinging. And I'm going to pop that on here. Now I cut this originally out of white, and I'm just looking at that now that it's on there and thinking it could do with a little bit of colour. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to move my little bits out of the way, and I'm going to see if I can just very, very lightly try and match the colour in the background. Now this may or may not work, but we'll go for it. It's got 2 chances. So in the background I have a little bit of pretty amazing spray in willow green. So I'm going to try and spritz that. Now normally what I would say is if you're going to do any spritzing, do it outside. Again, not really an option here. And also allow it to dry before trying to stick it down. There's also a little bit of salvage patina that I've added. So I'm going to add some of that too. And just for good measure, I'm going to add a bit of transparent twilight. Now this may or may not work, so we'll test it out on the spritz first, I think. Oh, actually, yeah, go for it. Because it mixed with the green a little bit and kind of get some of that darker tone. So I'll go back to green. And finally, I have the oxide spray in the patina, and I'm going to do a bit of a flick the same way as I did on the background. You can come and say hello in if you want to. Snuck back off again, I think. Now, generally when I'm doing this, you'll see that I manage to get everywhere except where I'm aiming because it's such a fine die cut. But just be patient. And also have a few bits ready to just drop into your tray that you can use to soak up your excess. So don't waste anything. Very carefully move that out of the way. Pop that down on my mat. And I'll use some water to refresh that in a bit. I'm going to grab some kitchen towel. And I'm just going to block that dry. Shouldn't take too long, to be honest, in here. So the spritzers, they were pretty amazing spraying willow green, pretty amazing spraying transparent twilight, and then the distress ink and distress oxide in the salvage pattern. Okay, so hopefully that's pretty dry, and I do love the combination of those two sprays because it goes almost like resiny when it actually dries, so you get like a sheen to it, but it also gets kind of a rigidity. So I'm just trying to make sure that it's absolutely not going to smudge onto my white background. Let's get my card, and then I can stick that onto there and just trim it after. So one of the things I like about this board is how easy it is to stick, because you've got lots of places to add glue even if you think it's really fine. That's going to pop a little bit there. He's still creeping around now, you know. I thought the floorboards are going. You can come say hi, you know. I'll let you.
You said you didn't love me.
I did not say that. I said I was going to come join you after. I didn't say I didn't want you. That's a bit harsh. Yeah, so the sprays we used on top of the watercolouring that we did yesterday as well. It's just not quite dry enough for me to trim with that knife. I'm going to end up using scissors. Oh, my back is threatening to go in. It's not good.
You want this more upright?
Yes please. I need me a bit more upright, I think.
How's that?
That's better. Oh. I'm just going to trim these other bits while I'm down here with the big scissors. There we go. What do you think so far, Ian?
Looking funky.
Okay, so next I have my letters to go on.
I'll leave everybody in peace.
Whew.
I gotta go back to the office.
Yeah, Carol, if you've got like a mini mister bottle, then you can just put some watercolour into that and use that as a spray. And as Tracy said, eyeshadows are a really good source for some mica. So rather than having to buy mica powders or things like that.
See you in a bit.
Yep. That's a bit better. A little bit better. Oh, this could be interesting. Trying to use the ScanNCut with a bad back. So, who would like to see me actually cut the letters out? And who would prefer I did it off stream so I'm not going ow, 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 ow. I will try my best. So I'm going to use some more of that scrap white card to cut my letters out to begin with, so that it matches. And then, because we haven't used our glitter card in the background, I'm going to pull out some of the tones that I've used for my flowers, so when those go on it will all tie in together. So we have a few different ones that we can use, and then I can use those for my lettering if I want to. With the strip sentiments, I'm just going to draw those with a pen. Oh yeah, it's one of those today. It's been playing up since I woke up and I was like, ah. It's not good. Not good timing at all. Because there's loads I want to show you and it's like, But I've set it all up in Canvas as well, so what I will do is I'll pop the FCM up so you can download and have a play as well. So, don't think, Carol, that because you haven't got sprays you can't do it. So a lot of the watercolour background I did with just a large flat brush, but any big brush will do. Oh, he does it. Ow, ow, ow. Let's grab Matt. Take the foil shield bits off from yesterday. Don't need those this day. So one of the things I love about the ScanNCut is the ability to use up your scraps like this. So I can go, actually, I'm going to pop this bit on my mat up here. So I'm working in an inch again. Then I can pop this one up here, and again, just dropping it down that inch. And I can pop this one crossways. Everything's going to stick to me now. There we go. Make sure you stick everything down well, especially if you're using lots of scraps like this. So it's going to stay put. Let's wake up the ScanNCut. I'm going to go to retrieve data, pull that from my USB. So, let's move the camera so you can see that we have a large sentiment and my high. Oh. Gonna go OK. Load my mat. Oh, come on, behave. Come on. Oh. Can't quite get the right angle. Have one of those today, just because it's difficult for me to push. Come on. Right. Days when you're having trouble like this, but when you need your nail file. Let's get my nail file out. So, if you feel along the top of the rough, the edge here, you can see that there's a bit that's rough. If you do it with your nail, you hear it better. That bit just needs filing down. So I'm just going across it with the nail file. Don't have to put any pressure into it. There we go. Try again. is because we've had that up in the air. I'm just making sure that I've pressed everything down firmly, so just go around the edges. And as you feed it through, you can do the lower sections. I'm going to do a background scan. Okay. So first of all, my high, I'm going to move down so it's all on one piece of card. So hopefully you can see that. Let's see if I can zoom in a bit for you. There we go. I'm going to go to Edit, Object Edit, Duplicate, and set the number to 2. Oh, come on, up a bit. There we go. And go OK. And move that up so that I have one on the white. If you want to, you can do a third layer as well, just to give you that bit of extra dimension. So this is already going to be going partly over a 2-layer thick piece of card, which is something to bear in mind if you're starting to worry about postage. Then I'm going to go OK. I'm going to go into my multi-select. I'm going to use my window select, because I know I need to group my two elements of my sentiment. So I'm going to go OK, Object Edit and Group, so that they're moving together at the same time. And I can pop that down underneath there. I'm going to go OK, multi-select, click off it, back to my window, and it's only going to select what is entirely within that window, so hence I don't need to worry about moving in that left hand edge. I'm going to go OK, Object Edit and Group. Now to make the most of my card, I can rotate that round. So if I go to Rotate 90 degrees, and I can pop that up to there. Okay. And if you want to put it onto the other colour card, you can do, but I'm just thinking for time, I'm just going to leave it as that. So I can actually take that top card off. I'm going to go OK, OK, OK again. I'm going to draw my sentiment first. So let's go for, a different pen. Let's go for something unusual. I'm going to go with, let's go green, because we've got lots of different green tones, so then it doesn't matter if it doesn't match exactly. I'm going to pop that into my holder, so let's zoom back out. There we go. So just push that through so that it's touching that guide. I'm going to tighten that screw. The mat as well and Shirley had it, Carol. So at this point, putting the backing paper back on is it comes straight back off of its own accord. I've worn it into oblivion. But I do have my backing cover on my converted matte, that's the word I'm looking for. So I did a matte that I converted just for using with double-sided adhesive. So like I was saying earlier about putting adhesive on the back of really fine cuts, you can do that on your ScanNCut too. And to do that I just use some double-sided sticky roll, and then you can use that to adhere to the backing of your double-sided. So it's not one that you would put card straight onto, because otherwise it's going to be stuck there permanently, but it is one for using when you're using that double-sided, so it doesn't shift as it's cutting. Okay, so let's start that going and we'll see how it goes. Different pen, so maybe that we'll have to do it a couple of times. So the pen I'm using is an older pack, and it's Smart Pens, and we got them from B&M a very long time ago. So they weren't expensive. See, that I'm just going to have to just do that again, just because, but it's getting there. So when we turn that round again, it'll be fine. But yeah, I woke up feeling my age today because my ankle was clicking, my back's going, ow. While that's doing that, I'm just going to pop a little bit extra glue onto my border sentiment, just where I've trimmed it, just so that it's got a little bit holding that edge. So the same way that we did the triangle. Okay, so I'm going to send that round again. So we're going to select draw again. And off it goes. So a bit more glue on these ends here too. So tomorrow, as I said, I'm going to be doing a little bit on the computer, and that's going to be looking at how we can actually adapt files so that we can create single layers. So if you've got a flower that you want to draw, and a leaf that you want to draw, and a reef that you want to draw, but you want them to be all one, I'm going to show you how we can actually punch back through our layers so that we can have them all flat. I often wonder why the ScanNCut does not go in straight instead of cutting or drawing randomly. Yeah. And bizarrely, it's all down to hierarchy in the actual file. Both between individual objects, but also, like if you've got a sentence like just to say, or we're thinking of you, that it then goes down to the hierarchy in the font as well, which is just bizarre. Okay, So I'm going to use my standard blade today, just because I think there's nothing, it's really complicated, it's got to cut out. It's just a H and an I and a flag shape basically. So don't really need to go to vinyl for that one, give it a bit of a rest. So I'm going to go to cut. I'm going to change my pressure setting. I'll find my pencil so I don't have to reach quite so much. And I'm going to take my pressure right down. Just because I know that the card that I'm using is a little bit on the thin side, so it doesn't really need a lot. And off it goes. Whew. So, what have you all got crafting in mind for the rest of the day? Are you going to be crafting, or are you going to be waiting till it's a bit cooler, which is what I shall probably be doing? Have some writing to do, so I'll do that this afternoon. I should be around for about half an hour after the stream, so if you do have any questions about files or how I put together the file that I'm cutting today, then don't be afraid to ask. Let me just move that over so you can see that a little bit better. So the little flags that it's cutting at the moment are just two trapezium shapes that have been welded together. So it's not that it's anything fancy with a pen tool. Oh cool, so Tracy's going to be doing a version of the main members project. So Carol, if you haven't got that downloaded yet, then that's up on the Buy Me a Coffee for you to download. Yeah, decking is like that, isn't it? It's, yeah, Mum's been doing the patio as well. So. Okay, so hopefully if I peel this off gently enough, we can check that that's all cut. Now there's always one, isn't there? There's always one. So my bottom pink high is absolutely fine. Top bit, not quite so much. So I'm just going to get the high off the bottom. And this is a good tip to learn if you're cutting with lots of different card on the mat. You remove what has cut, go okay. I'm just going to try and move that back over there so you can at least see it. I'm going to go back a screen. I'm going to go to where my height is that has cut. I'm going to go to edit and delete and take that out. Now let's check anything else on the white card occurs. I thought it might. It's cut everything apart from one side. So let's pop that back down. It's only the top layer that's lifted, so it's on the waist. I don't really mind that much. Let's go for okay. Okay. Back to cut. And it can go around again. Now obviously we don't want to be leaving items that are cut on the mat and sending it round, otherwise you could potentially go through your mat. And you'll be able to hear that it's got a really kind of like tinny light sound as it's cutting, and that's going to just let you know that it is cutting through that section. So it's not quite the same cut as when it's just cutting through card normally. So you can hear just how much of that last flag wasn't cut. Okay, and now, there we go. Lift off nice and easy. So let's get my spatula. I use a metal spatula rather than the plastic one. I just find it works better for me. Okay, and we can unload the mat. Let's pop you back up here. Yeah, it is a really cool project, the members project, I have to say. So next week I'm doing a members only stream with it, and I'm going to be showing you how to use it to actually create a bit of a space scene. So whether you want to use the elements that are in your machine to do that. So with H's, just go careful that you have them right way up, because the H isn't always, the cross of the H isn't always in the middle. I'm just going to decide which is the front as well, whether I want that texture showing or it's a bit smoother on the back, so I'm probably going to go smooth. Be consistent. Come on. It's going to be awkward. Let's get the other one. Everybody would think, given how warm it is in here, it'd be quite free flowing, really. Okay. So there's the H. And again, glue on the rough side. The eye's nice and easy. Can't really get that up the wrong way. So I'm going to take those and put those up there a little bit. And we have our, just to say that we can line up to the side of our H. And we're thinking of you. But again, I'm going to line that up with my H. So because we were looking to do something where we're doing alignment, you're going to want to stick the H first. Emma wants me to do it in the Wiggles theme, so I was thinking put some QR codes on it so his parents can scan it and they can watch some Wiggles videos. That's cool. Yep, you can do that. QR codes are a brilliant way of including links, but also you can include little sound wave links as well. So if you want to actually do like a little spoken message to somebody that's hidden away, you can use a QR code to do that. However you can manage your coat, Kel. So if being prepared helps, then yeah, go for it. I have to say, I was not organised last time we had something similar go on. So I'm using wet glue so I have wiggle room. And it also means that as it's going over the different layers, it kind of fills in the gap. So I'm going to line it up to the inside of my H there, and it can go up to that edge. I'm just going to try and keep that as horizontal as possible. Always an interesting concept with me at the moment. Everything seems to be slightly wonky. And there we go. So we got there eventually. A few ouches in the middle, but we got there. So I will just finish off the flower snipping off stream, and I will pop up a finished photo. And so sorry to hear that it's going to be like that for you, Carol. It's not good. We had a similar situation with Ian's dad. He only got diagnosed the same day as he passed away. Did one at Christmas on a mug. I like that one, Tracy. The flowers to the left of just to say look almost like a fairy. Yeah, I can see what you mean. I can see what you mean. Yep, definitely you'll have to have a go. So all you need is some watercolour cards, so you should have some left from when you did the watercolour classes. The foil and the foil quill, so the white foil, and some watercolour. So literally most of this background is done with watercolour and a brush. And then I just literally flicked the dots with the spray rather than going full on spray. Whereas this one, it needed colour quickly, so it was easy to just spray it away. But what you can do is, when you're doing this background here, also have an extra piece of watercolour card, and you can use the same colours and then die cut from that once it's dry. I love projects like that. I'm on a group that's something like Crafting Without Karens, and they have a lot of naughty things on there. So if you're up for a bit of a cheeky project, that's a good one to go on. So I will say bye bye for now, and I will be back tomorrow with a computer project. As I said, we're going to be working with files and punching that back through to create a nice foiled project. So foiling is the kind of go-to this week, and probably for a couple of weeks. So if you do like the white foil, we still have some in stock. So if you want to purchase some, you just go to Buy Me a Coffee, go to our extras, I think it's extras rather than shop. So the shop is being slowly phased out, so most things will start to appear on extras shortly. So take care and bye.